I know. It's like,
Oh yeah, this is Samsung's prototype.
or is that for the person who is doing remotes? Like, it's a drone. I'm sorry I couldn't be there.
Phil, I would be remiss if I didn't ask you. I really thought I would be long dead before Samurai Jack would ever return in my lifetime. I never thought. I thought it, it would be years and centuries from now, but it's back.
It's back.
You're back. Jack is back.
Jack is back.
So
back from the past.
What was your reaction when you learned, you're coming back and Samurai Jack is back?
Well, I learned that the show was coming back at the same time that everyone else. So my reaction was like, oh, geez, I wonder if I'm in it. Because they literally announced the show before ever contacting us. So it's like, Candy, am I in the show? Because, you never know. Sometimes reboots are total, and sometimes they're like, we're going a different direction. But no, I'm really, really excited.
And I'm so happy I lived to see that, because that show was such a, it was such a game changer, I think,
Absolutely.
Culturally in terms of animation.
And I think the new version will have a similar impact.
But thank you, and thank you.
But that's another part under the same corporate umbrella.
Yeah.
Isn't it? No.
Well, Time Warner.
Right. Larger umbrella.
For fans, voice actors are such an integral part of watching anything. But you hear that a lot where something's announced, but the actors are only hearing about that for the first time, when that announcement comes. But what do you think that means for the process? Like, for fans, that can be a really disruptive thing when their favorite personalities are changed. But for sometimes from that corporate perspective, it seems to be not as important.
Well, for me, it's twofold. There's a certain amount of ownership you feel once you've helped create a character and played a character. But the truth of the matter is, as voice actors, I believe we're at most 1/3 of the character. You've got the writing, you've got the visual design, and the voice. And the character doesn't exist without all three. No one or even two of them. It's like, okay, well, here's a silent character. No, you don't want that. Or here's, a really good-looking character with a great voice, has nothing to say. Like, it doesn't work without all three working in concert. And, when you get lucky enough to work with great creators, they welcome your input, and you get to be an even more integral part of it. Obviously, for fans, they don't get to see the writing, and they do get to see the visual, but I think sometimes people don't understand how much work it is and how much of the acting is done by the animators, and hopefully we can take what's written, give it emotion, make it real enough, and give ideas to the animators about how to act it. So.
It always annoys me when Aquaman is criticized as a character and people are like, oh, he talks to fish. Well, this guy who talks to fish is a king of a whole, race of people, the Atlanteans. He can, because of him, he's keeping, war with Atlantis at bay. And if he can talk to, underwater creatures, he could, get, a kraken or a megalodon from, the deepest trenches of the earth and get them to wreck shop. On the surface or something. So I think you make him a pretty cool, regal, kind of commanding presence. So, what informs your version of Aquaman and making him, this sort of more of a force, a force of nature and an unwielding, royal type.
Everything you just said. Literally. But no, what you're talking about, all those aspects of Aquaman have always been there and never been utilized.
Right.
For when did they start? What was Silver Age? Late 60s?
Yeah.
Early 60s? They never had him in the water. And people didn't really understand how cool he was.
Right.
Plus, I was telling some of the other guys, my theory, the real problem with Aquaman is the color. I feel like he was the last of the original Justice League to be picked, and all the good colors were taken. So he got stuck with orange, and it's a lame color. And so he got, plus the fact that you can't. We don't want to do any stories in the water because that's all blue backgrounds. That's too much ink. You know, he was just underutilized for so long, and now they're finally understanding his potential as a ruler and his potential as a power. You know, so. You guys are just lucky it's happening now, and so am I because I get to voice him.
Outrageous.
Outrageous.
You've heard John DiMaggio's version of Aquaman, I'm assuming then?
Yes, on Brave and Bold. Yeah, that was I think during the period where they were trying really hard to make Aquaman into something cool. Like that was the long hair, the beard, and the hook, right?
Well, he did like the Brave and the Bold version, which was like...
Did he have the hook or not?
I don't think he had the hook.
He had
but
the
they,
hook in Justice League.
Right,
but
yeah.
they upped the
Scott
camp.
Rummel.
They upped the camp on him. And
Well,
I think that
Brave and
actually
Bold was
made
all
him-
about it. It's like, come
Right.
on, you got, Paul Rubens playing Batmite. You know, we're not taking this too seriously.
Have Aquaman on an RV adventure with his family.
You know, yeah. So it's, and maybe in some ways that helped sort of cleanse the palate, so that they could start again with like a real grounded Aquaman. I don't know.
Out of the the characters you voice, who do you think would win a fight?
Green Lantern.
Samurai Jack.
Samurai Jack.
Just because he somehow manages to beat people. I don't know how he would fight a power ring, but I don't know.
I feel like
Figure it out.
Jack has a very strong, unbreakable will.
Yeah, so that's my bet. Anybody? Bueller?
Now, you seem to have such a depth of knowledge about comics and all of these things. Do you do that because of the roles that you take on, or are you also just
No,
passionate about
I'm just an old school comic book guy. When I work on these projects, it's just catnip for me because I know these characters, I grew up with these characters, I love these characters, and as an old school comic book guy, I also hate being a slave to continuity. So getting to work on something like Injustice is fantastic because you get to take these iconic characters and make great new stories with them, and you don't have to reboot or have someone make a deal with the devil or wake up from a dream in order to make a great new story. It's like, this is a new form, this is a new, format, and it's just a new story. Take it, accept it, have fun, We'll do a different one next time. Thank you guys. Grab some.